Welcome, welcome. I just want to say I am so excited for this conversation. This is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, and the topic is from reactive to proactive. If you've ever had that experience, you know what I'm talking about. And we're going to focus on taking charge of your accounting firm. And the conversation today is with Dawn Brolin. So part of what we're going to touch on is turning professional hurdles into opportunities that will advance your accounting firm, proactively navigating the high-stake demands of business ownership, and how to boost task efficiency, team effectiveness, and the overall success of your firm. I suggest you have pen and paper ready or wherever you take notes because Dawn will generously share, and then we'll also let you know how you can connect with her if you are not already connected. Now, a little bit about Dawn. Dawn Brolin is CEO of Powerful Accounting Inc. and is renowned as the designated motivator for accounting professionals. That's her. With over 20 years of experience, she's a respected educator and innovator in the accounting industry. Dawn serves on multiple boards, including Intuit Tax Council and ADP, and is president of the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation. Her expertise has earned her numerous accolades, including just recently been named as one of the top 40 women in accounting. So that's her most recent one. And she's also been recognized as Accounting Today's top 100 most influential people in accounting. And that's been for multiple years going. So as an author, sought-after speaker, Dawn emphasizes the importance of continuous motivation and strategic planning in achieving success for individuals and teams in the accounting profession. You can learn more about Dawn Brolin and Powerful Accounting Inc. at dawnbrolin.com, which is DAWNBROLIN.com. Anyway, let's get into the conversation. Dawn, I am so excited about having you here. So thank you for that. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, same thing, Lauren. Want to do anything we can to help people in the accounting profession. There's so many things we go through, some good, some bad, some ugly, right? And so I'm excited here just to have a conversation with you. Super pumped.
And before we get into really the gist of it, what is it that really put you on the path of being a champion for accounting firms and the profession in general?
Yeah, well, it's funny, I've been in business for 25 years now, which seems like, a whole quarter century, like just about half my life. And I see the pain that a lot of practitioners go through. I pay attention a lot on Facebook groups and LinkedIn, just watching what the conversations are. And I realized that I had to put my own mask on first, right? So as we got into like 2019 and 2020, I was like, I really need to figure my firm out. I really need to straighten things out. And we'll talk a little bit about some of that stuff in a little bit. But I just found that I wanted to help. I'm a people pleaser. I'm a people helper. I want to help people. I don't like to see people in pain. And as a firm owner, I know the challenges and that we go through on a regular basis. And once I was able to put my mask on first and really dig into organization, efficiency, productivity, those things that were really important so that I could get out of this office and do fun things. I wanted to share that with the industry, and I want to help I want everyone to win. It's so much more fun when everyone's winning.
And part of what you were talking about is really some of your own experiences. So what was maybe some challenge that really you needed to face in your accounting career, and having that powerful, positive mindset helped you to turn that challenge that could have been seen as a failure or mistake and created opportunity for growth?
So I hope we're not going to ask about one because I probably have a million, right? I think we all, I don't know if I just learn really well through falling on my face and making mistakes. And so knowing that, as I started in business, I was doing bookkeeping. I was kind of all I was focused on, wanted to kind of move into the tax area, joined in a partnership with a couple of other people, and found that partnership wasn't blossoming the way I thought it was, what I envisioned it to be. And it became more of a competition internally inside the firm of, why is everyone always calling for you and you're never in the office because you're out doing all the marketing. Did a lot of the marketing through, doing QuickBooks sessions and things like that at local chambers and things, not getting paid for any of it. And so it just ended up being some kind of a popularity competition. And so the other two partners basically drove me out of the firm. And I learned a lot from that experience. It was a really difficult experience as I kind of pulled that partnership together. And then I was kind of pushed out, and I realized that I needed to be somebody who was depending on myself. I needed to be the person who was going to lead and go through and understand that not everybody has the same vision that I have. And so I learned from that experience that you have to be very, very careful when you're choosing partners. That's something that's you, because you're marrying them. And,
Mm-hmm.
and so you've got to really think that through. So that's definitely a tip, is to think through what are your visions, make sure that that partnership, that we're lining up and that we understand each other's roles, whether it's revenue, whether it's marketing, whatever it may be. We've got to make sure that that was a really big hurdle for me. And
Mm-hmm.
going through that and learning through that experience. I also learned that so at the time I had young children, so I wanted to be able to work from home. And this is back a few years, right? So this is between 2005 and 2011, where working from home wasn't as popular. And that was probably one of the biggest things when I left that firm. I said, there's no way I'm not going to be able to spend time with my kids. Like, I'm going to rebuild a firm. I started from scratch again. And I said, I'm going to rebuild this firm and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. I'm going to allow other people to have some flexibility depending on their life situation. And I realized that it wasn't just about me. It needed to be about everybody. And so that was a pretty big challenge in my career.
And one of the things that I found is that so many of my opportunities come on the heels of failure or something that didn't work out as planned. And I'd rather be a lot easier, but that's not how things work, at least in my
Yeah,
reality. And the other thing you mentioned about partnerships is that they actually have a higher divorce rate than marriages do. So
right.
that is something to really think about. Is this is not till death do us part type of commitment.
It's not. Yeah, and it's a challenge. It's really a challenge.
Mhm.
And so, learning a lot from that, learning about the things that we did in that firm that were good. I learned a lot of really
Yeah.
good things while I was in the partnership, and learned from those that were not so great experiences, and taking them and deciding, all right, well, I'm going to make this a different choice for myself moving forward, the way I operate my firm and the way I make the decisions. And I always want to try to keep my team in mind. It isn't just about me. And that was definitely something that I found to be, something really educational for me, to learn how I wanted to treat people, how if somebody was struggling with something, giving them the time that they need, if they needed time off or things like that, being really flexible. Because in that partnership, it wasn't a lot of flexibility. It was a very straightforward, normal, you come to the office, these are the hours you work, and you're working 80 during tax season. And that
Yeah.
that stuff's gone.
The corporate mentality doesn't work for everybody.
No.
So it really is evidence of just how people-centered you are, client-centered, taking care of your staff. So one of the things that I've seen is that mindset affects everything we do or don't do. It gets in the way or it moves us forward. So how do you start to create that positive mindset and maybe even stay positive, especially when you're dealing with the demands that accounting profession has, particularly with the tax seasonality that comes with it?
Yeah, I believe 100% in mindset. Absolutely 100%. Feeding your mind with positivity as opposed to negativity. A lot of what you look at on social media is a lot of negative, more now than ever before. It's just so negative. So you want to set I believe you need to set some boundaries for yourself. Like, what am I going to entertain in social media, and what am I not going to entertain? Or people that you surround yourself with. I tell my kids that all the time. You become the people you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
So surrounding yourself with people that lift you up, not tear you down, because some people do that. They'll blow out your candle thinking their candle's going to burn brighter, and it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. So I think that mindset, that whatever you're feeding in your brain from that positivity. I love quotes. I love positive quotes. I love reading positive quotes. I've got well, they're all around here somewhere, the little pop cards that you open up, and it just, like, there's topic called shine or smile or whatever. And you open up the pop card and you're like, that's my message for today. And that's what you live off of. And I find that mindset is absolutely 100% of it. And as a firm owner, especially understanding that you're and I want to say this too, just because you are the owner of a firm or the CEO of a firm or a partner, or it doesn't matter, doesn't make you a leader. And I want to make that
Mm-hmm.
point because I think that's important. I don't think leaders are born, leaders are bred. Leaders learn the characteristics of what a leader is. And that includes having a positive mindset, being able to make hard decisions, having empathy for your team. those types of things. And reading those types of books that teach you those mindsets, those lessons about life is what's going to help you get through those really tough times. And it's really all about what you're feeding.
You know, that reminds me of when we got together, we had dinner, we were talking about this whole mindset thing. And one of the things that is our conversation right now is bringing up is how so many firm owners actually create codependency in their firm, whether with their staff or with their clients, where it's all about them. They have it all on their shoulders, and it's a lot of stress, but it also keeps their team from being able to move forward and be able to grow. So when you're talking about the leaders, it's really about having healthy leadership in your firm, as opposed to one where you're creating a lot of dependencies around you. And it actually creates bottlenecks where you're unable to grow at the pace that you want to. Is that part of what you've seen as well?
Absolutely. I realize that it's so funny because I talk a lot about process, right? We talk a lot about processes and efficiencies and how do you make that all happen. It's great to create a process, and it's great to be that person who's helping create processes. I always tell people include your team in on those processes because they're going through different things than you're going through. It shouldn't be one person that we're relying upon. I know for myself, I would rather, you know what? I love to delegate. Here you go. You want to go get it. Awesome. This is something you're excited about, you're passionate about. You take the lead on this. And so encouraging your staff and including them in making decisions. And you're right, the leaders, people who are trying to lead, a lot of times become that bottleneck. And I've learned how to get myself away from that part of it. And also with process is to not interrupt it. And so what do I mean by that? You know, you set a process. We have a client onboarding process for new tax clients, right? We just got an onboarding process. The moment that somebody who is in a leadership position steps in the way of that process, everything falls apart and it causes disruption for everybody. I think of a simple example. If I'm out eating at dinner and somebody comes, oh, hey, Brolin, will you do my taxes next year? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Here's my cell phone number. Just shoot me a text. We'll get you taken care of. That's not our process. The process is here's the office number, call Tracy, and Tracy will get you onboarded, because that's the process, not Don Brolin getting in the middle of it. And so sometimes we think we need to be in charge of all things. We really don't. And once you get to that mindset, you have that mindset, your life you will gain so much clarity as you work through on a daily basis. It's awesome.
And it creates natural boundaries within the team as well, and the office, and it protects you, it protects everything. So part of what you've been talking about actually is the processes, which to me, I believe systems give you freedom. So tell me about how to be able to really have the way to have efficiencies, to be more effective as far as the tasks go, and just team performance in general.
Yeah, I think boundaries are most important, right? So boundaries around your work. So when you come in the office, what are your behaviors? When you come down, you sit in your office, you sit down, what is the first thing you do? And I always try to get people to think of that. Think about this morning when you got to the office and you sat down, what was the first thing you did? Most people will say, I checked my email. A lot of people will say, I checked my calendar. A lot of people will say various things, right? When I sit down, the first thing I do is I go into my practice management tool and I say, what tax returns need to be done today? Because I instantly want to be productive, right? And so I think setting healthy boundaries, calendar blocking is another really, in order to get things done. You know, it's great. I may have a couple of appointments, and most of those are pretty rare these days, but you know, I've got a lot of in-house returns. They've gotten us all their stuff. I got to start the tax return. Blocking off your calendar so no one puts a meeting in your calendar when you've got 5 returns to do that day. You want to block 4 hours worth of time or however long you need and say, don't bother me during this time. I have a boundary. Don't set an appointment before 10 a.m. I don't want to talk to people before 10. I want to come in. I always check my calendar and I check to see what I've got to do. And then I'm off and running. And I think that's part of our problem. We get so hung up and stuck in the minutia of things in your firm, and we're not being productive. People will say tax season's so busy. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be busy, folks. It should be productive, not busy. You know, I mean, Lauren, I can sit in this office for 12 hours a day and I can be busy. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But being busy and being productive are two very different things.
Absolutely. And sometimes you feel that you're efficient, but what you're doing is not effective. So So when I see that happening, I feel like you're being fast at doing something wrong.
Yes, absolutely. You're rushing because you're trying to get through
Hmm.
something. You're trying to get through it. So
And I think the thing that you mentioned about checking emails first thing in the morning is really so critical at this point because the majority of people actually probably check their emails before they even get out of bed. They start then, but emails can hijack your entire morning.
yes. And you know what, Lauren? See this guy right here? I do not have email on my cell phone. I don't have
Hmm.
email. I do not have my calendar. I don't worry about work when I'm not here. And so what I'll typically do is I take a peek before I leave the office and I'll go, okay, I see, or I got an appointment at 11. All right, I got to make sure that whatever I want to accomplish prior to 11 o'clock will determine when I get into the office. And it's not I got to be in here at 8 o'clock. I got to be in here
Right.
at 9 o'clock. I don't roll like that. We don't track time. We don't have to do vacation requests. We don't do anything. You don't want to take a vacation, take a vacation. If your work's done, what do I care? Like,
Hmm.
we don't have, you only get, 40 hours or 80 hours a year in vacation. I don't care when you take a vacation. Have a I want my team to feel healthy and free and flexible and empowered to accomplish their work, but to have a life outside of it.
Hmm. And what you're setting is an example of a firm of the future, the way that it ought to be moving towards, as opposed to hourly rates where people have to ask permission to go to the bathroom or to take care of their sick kid at home.
Yeah.
So totally on the same page as you. So let's talk a little bit about strategies, practices that maybe have helped your team be able to start looking at things that are initially feeling like challenges, but being able to change the way that they approach them so that they're now opportunities for improvement.
Yeah, we're really big on it. Nicole and I especially. We're only a team of 3 right now. We were a team of 11 at one point, and that was awful for me. I don't know what that is, but I don't not a big into babysitting adults. I tell
Mm-hmm.
people, listen, you're an adult. You probably are responsible for another human being, meaning you have a child. Like you should be able to adult and be able to take care of your own work and do that. And I just found that I just wasn't finding the right people. I had felt like I had to babysit all the time. And so now with the 3 of us, it's like, okay, Nicole, one of the things we focus on is when you have to do this, you have to enter information into, we use QuickBooks. So if you have to enter information, we need to stop for a minute. Why are we entering information? With technology, we should be integrating in a way that there shouldn't be a lot of key pushing, right? So there's a challenge there. And what will happen is I'll say, Nicole, if you're finding that something's just cumbersome for you to accomplish, let's talk about it. So we're very open to discussing that type of thing. The other thing too is during tax season, we actually journal challenges throughout the tax season. So if we're like,
Mm-hmm.
this was a real, we've got to change this for next year. We need to do this. Some of the things we can change immediately, some of the things we can't, but we have a very open dialogue and an open forum for people to say, this is like killing me. I'm like, okay, as soon as something's killing you, well, first of all, I wish it wouldn't get to that point where you're like in so much pain from having to do a task. I wish we should catch it a little bit earlier if we can, so we can fix it. And we implement technology to do that. Things that are taking up too much administrative time, things that make one of the team crazy, like, oh, I just can't stand this. Well, then we need to look at maybe a different practice management tool, whatever. And I'm open to that because I want everyone to work efficiently, effectively, and not, it's work. It's not called fun for a reason, right? It's work.
Mm-hmm.
We're still working, but can we do it as effortlessly as possible? That's the goal.
So are you aware of like any particular tools maybe that you bought in that have made a difference for your firm? Because even though you're a small firm, you're a highly productive one,
Yeah.
and you might be doing the same volume as a firm twice your size.
Right. Yeah, we're all about, like I said, the technology. So we've
Mhm.
implemented a tool that just released recently in the last couple of months called Lisio. Well, they've been around for a little bit, but they launched a new tool for tax organizers, which has always been a nightmare for every tax practitioner. Being able to, first of all, get them to fill out the organizer, and number 2, for them to get you their documents. Been the 2 biggest challenges. If you watch any webinar and watch any polls that go through a webinar, that's the number 1 pain point for tax
Yep.
practitioners. And so implementing that tool with the tax organizer where people can be on their phone, which is meeting clients where they are, getting them to just snap pictures of all their tax documents in a secure, encrypted
Hmm.
way, of course. So we have to really look out for that. And so getting those documents to us so that Tracy isn't having to do them one at a time. That was a big improvement that we're making moving into 2025 because she would send the tax organizers one at a time to people. And it was,
Exactly.
and that was, we did a static organizer. So if you ask the questions you need to ask, got to ask if they have Bitcoin or foreign currency, you got to ask certain things. Did you move? It's a static document that doesn't breathe. With this new tool with Liscio, the way they're launching this is that if I say, yes, I moved, now it's going to be, all right, that's an if then. Okay, so if the answer is yes, then where did you move to? What date did you move? So now we've got non-resident tax returns to do. All those kind of things that in a static document you can't get. So that was a big efficiency improvement for us this year as we move forward. Another one that was really big this year for us in the beginning of, well, actually, it was the beginning of 23, but we really maximized and utilized it is something called Ignition. Ignition is an engagement letter and
Yep.
payment tool. And I sent engagement letters out the first week of January, and I changed my process. And I do a video, which is nice because you can embed a video in Ignition. And I explained what we were changing. And that's another really great communication tool so that the clients need to know what to expect. So every year I do a new video and I'm like, hey, here's what we changed this year, folks. We're making you prepay for your tax returns. That's going to do one of two things. One thing it's going to do is you're going to have skin in the game. You've already paid for a service. Now you're going to want to get me your tax documents a lot faster because you've already paid for the service. And so by doing that, we don't have to track payments. We didn't have to go receive payments. Tracy used to double check to see if people paid, and she spent a lot of time doing that. There were times where I was like, 5 months later, she's like, Brolin, you got $8,000 you never billed for last tax season. I'm like, oh, now I look like an idiot. I'm supposed to be an accountant and I'm not even doing my own billing properly. So we eliminated that whole process this year, and we had some people leave. I don't know if it was because of that or not. Didn't matter to us. We still had other people. See, here's one door in my office, people going out. There's another door, people coming in. There's so much demand, but we made those changes to improve our administrative process to minimize, because Tracy only wants to work part-time. So I want to make sure I have things in place so she likes to still work, but not full-time. So we implemented those processes that have allowed us to be more efficient and actually make sure we got paid and have a seamless process. So those are just a couple things that we've changed in this last couple of years or so that have really improved how we're operating.
And I just want to reiterate, so you found that Liscio is helping with tax organizers, making it more streamlined and easier because most of the people live off their phones anyway.
Yep.
Ignition is great for engagement letters, especially when you're sending out a massive amount during tax season, as well as payment. I love the fact that you're embedding a video to really explain, because it makes it a little bit more personalized. They're actually more likely, some of them, to listen to a video. They never read the letter anyway.
No, they don't.
And the other thing that hearing you say this is like music to my ears. Prepayment, even if you are a tax preparer, you can get prepaid, which is so much better, saves the headaches of invoicing, tracking, following up on payments, and everything else that comes when you're getting paid after the fact. So love the fact that you did it, you're talking about it, and hopefully it is encouraging other tax preparers to do that also, because it changes everything in your firm.
Absolutely. It has. It's totally, and I will say one of my challenges, if we go back kind of to the beginning of a challenge, was always cash flow. I had people I had to pay, and guess who got paid last? This girl. And so I was just fed up with worrying about payroll every single week. We moved to a subscription plan for our business clients, and we moved to prepayment for our individuals or businesses that we don't do full service for them. And it made things so calm. We got rid of a lot of clients who were just, I don't know, we took control back. I guess that's what I would say. We took the control of the relationship.
Absolutely, because I know so many tax firms where by Q4, they might be looking at getting a line of credit just to be able to make it through to tax season and when the money starts coming in again. So when you go to prepayment and you go to the subscription, it solves the cash flow crisis that a lot of tax agencies actually experience. It's a beautiful solution.
Yeah,
it just takes courage to implement.
Lauren, that's the thing. It's all in the mindset. I had to sit in front of a mirror and look at myself and say, are you willing to take the risk that every client's going to tell you you're a lunatic, which I already know that you're a lunatic and I can't believe you're doing this, and we all go away. Are you going to be okay with that? And I said to myself, yes. You know what? Because what I'm doing right now is not working. I have to do something different. And it's all about accepting the risk and being willing to have the guts to do something like that. And it paid off tenfold for our firm.
Okay. Risk is a hot button word, though, for people in accounting because they tend to be risk adverse.
Yes.
So that is something to really think about. How do you mitigate risk, which is what you've been talking about? You're very solution focused with your firm. How do you do it as a team? When everybody's on the same page, then there's better communication so that you can really turn something that might feel like a risky move into something that blows up and really isn't going to work out. And then you go back to the same old way that wasn't very effective before. So mitigating risk when you tend to be risk adverse
Yeah.
is a game changer.
Yep. Absolutely. It's that confidence. And I think that that's a lot of it too. When we moved to the subscription pricing, it was like, I don't know if any of our clients are going to want to do it, but I'm like, I want to be able to give them that full service all year round. I also don't want to work with a lot of clients. I'd rather work with less clients, give them better value. And in turn, by doing that and moving to a subscription model, at the first of every month, we're paid and we don't
Right.
work.
The other part that happens when you probably went in that direction, because this is what I talk about all the time, is that you increase the value of a client. The
Yes.
ones that were the headaches, the ones that were price sensitive, that pushed back or never talked to you until like 2 weeks before the filing deadline, they wanted you to get it all done for them anyway, like they were the only person. They went away.
Yeah. Yeah. We have seen a lot of that over the last couple of years since we started subscription pricing. Some people were nice about it and like, oh, well, I think we're just going to go with a local firm or whatever, and that's fine. And
Yeah.
some were kind of nasty. There were some, we had one this week, as a matter of fact. And it's like, you know what? I'm happy that you're going away because all you're doing is causing chaos within our firm. And so we are already in a chaotic industry, I would say, but we have the ability with our mindset and our decisions and what risks we're willing to take to minimize that chaos, because it's not something we didn't have to pick that bag up, right? That's a bag of chaos. We don't have to pick it up. We can leave that outside and not participate in the world of chaos. And we've just chosen not to do that. There's not any money in the world that's worth it to live in a world of chaos because of the attitudes of other people.
So did you find that you were able to have less clients, but you didn't take a hit in your bank account because of that?
100%. We increased our value and increased our prices. We work with less people, no more than 25 clients, 25 business clients at a time. And that's where we're at. So if one falls off, then we're open to bring on another one. But in the meantime, this is just how we operate, and it works out really, really well.
So it creates time for you to have tax planning, tax strategy, more consultative meetings with clients, and reduces the stress within the office as well.
Yeah, and we were doing that stuff anyway, Lauren. That's the crazy part where, people will text you or call or whatever they'll do, and you're giving them all this advice, and then you're like, it's only 15 minutes. I'm not going to bill them for it. And now you're doing that 4 times a day. So now you're looking at an hour a day that you're giving away everything you have, which is your brain. That's what you're offering. And so now we've streamlined it. And now when people call, especially the people that are in the subscription pricing, they may ask us to do something that is maybe outside of the scope, but you get to make that decision at that point to say, you know what, these guys are great payers. They never complain. They're, we do great work with them. I'm not even charging them. So you get to make those conscious decisions instead of your hair on fire constantly.
Okay, so then getting back to the mindset piece as far as your team goes, is there any techniques that you have adapted to really help them focus on growth, learning, especially when there are challenges that are coming up? Because otherwise, you have someone that's disgruntled, they're stressed out, and with such a small firm, one person who's off their game is going to affect the entire culture of the firm.
Yeah, 100%. And my whole rule is if the day isn't going right for you and you need to step back, take the day off. Like we just have an open, as far as that kind of thing goes, if somebody's really struggling that day, you're done for the day. Just go play with your kids, go to the park, do whatever you got to do to get yourself where you need to be better. We also offer, well, again, there's only 3 of us, but Nicole, I've offered for her to go back to college. She wanted to go back and get her accounting degree, her master's in accounting. And I'm like, great, Nicole, you're going to go back for your master's in accounting and I'm going to pay for it. And, take the classes that you need to take, whatever you need to do. And that flexibility of learning, I encourage her to watch webinars. I encourage her to listen to podcasts, and whatever growth she wants to do. So Nicole, if you want to eventually be a tax preparer, you let me know that. I'm happy to bring you into that mold, whatever it is that you want to do. And Tracy, as the admin person, hey, she's on vacations, doing whatever you got to do to, I'm going to go into yoga, or I'm going to pickleball, or whatever she's doing. Awesome. That's what we want. We want them to be able to have the ability to grow in whatever that looks like for them, because everyone's different. If someone's disgruntled, it's very highly possible that you're not giving them enough flexibility, or you're not challenging them enough. Maybe they're doing too mundane of tasks. Maybe the tasks aren't challenging enough. So you gotta invest the time in your people by talking to them, by finding out what motivates them. Does money motivate them? Because some people, money does motivate people. I don't think that's the majority, but if it's, yeah, you know what, I need to make an extra $10,000. I need to make more money. Awesome. Let's figure out ways we can help you do that. Or some people be like, I love to play pickleball on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings from 9 to 10. So I get in the office around 10:30. Fine. That's your schedule. Like, we have to give more flexibility.
And the other thing is that for some of your team members, that has more value than another raise.
Absolutely.
So being able to really nurture them in a way that matters to them. Money is not equally important to everybody, but some people, it's about being able to bring their dogs to work. So
Yes.
it's having the culture that you really nurture your team, because you know that they're going to be loyal, they're not going to turn over as much, and they will give back 100% when it's absolutely necessary.
Absolutely.
I have one more question that comes to mind, is that a lot of firm owners, I find, tend to be the bottleneck in their firm's growth. They're either holding on to too much, or else they're afraid to move forward. They're afraid to raise their prices, even though their team is encouraging them to. So any tip you have when someone realizes they're the bottleneck, or maybe all the reviews are stacked up on their desk and nobody can move forward with anything, how to be able to how to just get started with shifting that?
Yeah, and again, it's a mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to sit with yourself is what you need to do. You need to sit with yourself and say, all right, I have, first of all, you got to recognize you're the problem. That's like step one, right? Okay, I know that I'm the one, I've got all these things, I'm stressed out, I've got all this. Ask for help. I think being open to asking for help and being vulnerable enough to say, you know what? I haven't gotten those reviews done. Most partners, most people that are the leader of the company have an assistant of some kind. If I always encourage people, even small firms, even a solopreneur, get yourself a virtual assistant. Get yourself someone that you can bounce things off of,
Mm-hmm.
and someone that you can say, "Hey, listen, I got to review these. Would you mind going through them first? Read through them, and if there's any areas that you find that are a problem that I really need to address, then why don't you just let me know that." Those people will help back you up. And I think it's that vulnerability of thinking, I know I'm an A-type personality, right? I want to be in charge. I want to be able to take care of everybody. I want everyone to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to burden anyone with my problems. It's time to step back and say it's okay for me to lean on someone else. And I think that's the hardest part for A-type personalities, for sure. And most leaders are A-type personalities, I think. And just understanding that you gotta chill out, and you gotta have some internal looking internally, look in a mirror and say, am I really doing the best I can do? And am I doing what's best for the company, or just what's best for me? And
Mm-hmm.
that's not a selfish thing. I'm not talking about people that are selfish and all about them. I'm talking about people genuinely are just trying to carry the load for everybody, and not realizing that they can lean on their team a little bit more than they are. And
Mm-hmm.
that's empowering to your team, the people on your team.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, asking for help is a very, very difficult thing to do, especially when you are helping oriented
Yeah.
and you give and give and give. Trying to take back is a very, very difficult muscle to start to develop. So
Yeah.
I totally get it, Dawn. Anyway, we covered so much. I know we can go on for so much longer with this conversation. It's something that you and I both share a passion about.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we touched on is turning professional hurdles into the opportunities in order to advance your accounting firm, proactively navigating the high stake demands of business ownerships, and how to boost task efficiency, team effectiveness, and the success of your firm, whether you're solo or corporate with multiple partners. Anyway, thank you so much, Dawn. And if somebody wanted to connect with you and Powerful Accounting Inc., what's the best way for them to do that?
Probably just a message through LinkedIn is an easy way. We're in there checking that, for messages. Anything I can do, I'm always available to help other practitioners to be successful in whatever that looks like for them. I know for me, I solidified my cash flow and I don't have to be in the office 40 hours a week. Those were the two things that was my goal. And we finally have gotten there. And I want to help other people do that as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate the engaging conversations we continue to have. And this is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, showing accounting firm owners how to double their income working half the time.